Sqilah. Enhancing Careers. Chapter 3. Dangerous Goods Classes and Divisions. Classification. Under the regulatory framework, dangerous goods are defined as those goods which meet the criteria of one or more of 9 UN hazard classes and, where applicable, to one of the 3 UN packing groups. 9 classes relate to the type of hazard, whereas the packing groups relate to the applicable degree of danger within the class. Some hazard classes are further subdivided into hazard divisions, due to the wide scope of the class. Regulatory frameworks incorporate comprehensive classification systems of hazards to provide detailed range of dangerous goods, as per IATA DGR 3.0.2 as follows. Explosives, gases, flammable liquids, flammable solids, oxidizing substances, toxic and infectious substances, radioactive material, corrosives, miscellaneous dangerous goods. Packing groups. To further assist with the identification of dangerous goods and their particular hazards, those of Class 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 are assigned to a packing group which represents the level of danger to persons exposed as follows. Packing Groups 1, High Danger. Packing Group 2, Medium Danger. Packing Group 3, Minor Danger. Class and Division Codes. Dangerous goods classes are expressed in single-digit number, whereas divisions are expressed in 2-digit numbers in which the first digit represents the class and second identifies the variation within the class. Multiple hazards. There are many substances that pose risk of multiple hazards. IATA DGR 3.10 describes the procedure for determining which hazard takes precedence for an article or substance with more than one hazard. However, the most stringent packing group based on the different hazards must then be the packing group for the article or substance. Shipper's responsibility. Shipper is responsible for identifying and classifying all dangerous goods intended for transport by air in compliance with the regulations. Ideally, shipper should correctly and fully identify, classify each item of dangerous goods before packing and, wherever relevant, assign each item of dangerous goods to one of the 3 packing groups within the assigned class or division. Class 1, Explosives. Explosives are materials or items which have the ability to rapidly conflagrate or detonate as a consequence of chemical reaction. This is a restricted class, i.e., only those explosive articles and substances that are listed in subsection 4.3 of IATA DGR may be accepted for transport. While preparing these requirements, military ammunition and explosives have been taken into consideration to the extent that they are likely to be transported by civil aircraft. Class 1 is divided into 6 divisions as follows. Division 1.1, Substances and Articles which have a mass explosion hazard. Division 1.2, Substances and Articles which have a projection hazard but not a mass explosion hazard. Division 1.3, Substances and Articles which have a fire hazard and either a minor blast hazard or a minor projection hazard or both, but not a mass explosive hazard. Division 1.4, Substances and Articles which present no significant hazard, only a small hazard in the event of ignition or initiation during transport with any effects largely confined to the package. Division 1.5, Very insensitive substances, which have a mass explosion hazard. Division 1.6, Extremely insensitive articles, which do not have a mass explosion hazard. Class 1 continued. Reason for regulation. Explosives are capable by chemical reaction of producing gases at temperatures, pressures, and speeds as to cause catastrophic damage through force and/or producing otherwise hazardous amounts of heat, light, sound, gas, or smoke. Class 1 continued. Reason for regulation. Explosives are capable by chemical reaction of producing gases at temperatures, pressures, and speeds as to cause catastrophic damage through force and/or producing otherwise hazardous amounts of heat, light, sound, gas, or smoke. Compatibility groups. Goods of Class 1 are assigned to one of the 6 divisions, depending on the type of hazard they present, and to one of the 13 compatibility groups, which identify the kinds of explosive articles and substances that are deemed to be compatible. The classification of compatibility groups into groups A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, N and S are listed in Table 3.1a of IATA DGR, which provides possible hazard divisions associated with each group. Class 2, Gases. Gases are defined by Dangerous Goods Regulations as substances which have a vapor pressure of 300 kilopascals, 3.0 bar, at 50 degrees Celsius or which are completely gaseous at 20 degrees Celsius at standard atmospheric pressure, and items containing these substances. The class encompasses compressed gases, liquefied gases, dissolved gases, refrigerated liquefied gases, mixtures of one or more gases with one or more vapors of substances of other classes, articles charged with a gas, and aerosols. Subdivisions. Substances of Class 2 are assigned to one of 3 divisions, based on the primary hazard of the gas during transport as follows. Division 2.1, Flammable gases. Division 2.2, Non-flammable, non-toxic gases. Division 2.3, Toxic gases. Exemptions. Gases of Division 2.2 are not subject to regulations if they are transported at a pressure less than 200 kilopascals at 20 degrees centigrade and are not liquefied or refrigerated liquefied gases. Other exemptions from regulations include foodstuff including carbonated beverages, balls intended for use in sports, tires which meet provisions of Special Provision, A59, and light bulbs provided they are packaged properly. Class 2, Gases. Continued. Hazard precedents. Gases and gas mixtures with hazards associated with more than one division take the precedence as follows. Division 2.3 takes precedence over all other divisions. Division 2.1 takes precedence over Division 2.2. Reason for regulation. Gases are capable of posing serious hazards due to their flammability, potential as asphyxiants, ability to oxidize, and/or their toxicity or corrosiveness to humans. Commonly transported gases. Aerosols, compressed air, hydrocarbon gas-powered devices, fire extinguishers, gas cartridges, fertilizer ammoniating solution, insecticide gases, refrigerant gases, lighters, acetylene/oxyacetylene, carbon dioxide, helium/helium compounds, hydrogen/hydrogen compounds, oxygen/oxygen compounds, nitrogen/nitrogen compounds, natural gas, oil gas, petroleum gases, butane, propane, ethane, methane, dimethyl ether, propene/propylene, ethylene. Class 3, Flammable liquids. Flammable liquids are defined by Dangerous Goods Regulations as liquids, mixtures of liquids or liquids containing solids in solution or suspension which give off a flammable vapor at temperatures of not more than 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. Liquids offered for transport at temperatures at or above their flash point, or substances transported at elevated temperatures in a liquid state and which give off a flammable vapor at a temperature at or below the maximum transport temperature. Liquid desensitized explosives are also included in this class, which is explosive substances dissolved or suspended in water or other liquid substances, to form a homogeneous liquid mixture to suppress their explosive properties. Subdivisions. There are no subdivisions within Class 3, flammable liquids. Reason for regulation. Flammable liquids are capable of posing serious hazards due to their volatility, combustibility, and potential in causing or propagating severe conflagrations. Packing group criteria. Flammable liquids are assigned to packing groups according to the flash point and the boiling point of the liquid as per Table 3.3a of IATA DGR. Viscous flammable liquids such as paints, enamels, varnishes, adhesives and polishes with a flash point less than 23 degrees centigrade may be assigned to Packing Group 3 in conformity with the procedures prescribed in the UN Manual of Tests and Criteria. Determination of flash point is done following international ISO standards as well as national standards of the respective state. Commonly transported flammable liquids. Acetone/acetone oils, adhesives, paints/lacquers/varnishes, alcohols, perfumery products, gasoline/petrol, diesel fuel, aviation fuel, liquid biofuels, coal tar/coal tar distillates, petroleum crude oil, petroleum distillates, gas oil, shale oil, heating oil, kerosene, resins, tars, turpentine, carbamate insecticides, organochlorine pesticides, organophosphorus pesticides, copper-based pesticides, esters, ethers, ethanol, benzene, butanols, dichloropropene, diethyl ether, isobutanols, isopropyls, methanol, octanes. Class 4. Flammable solids, substances liable to spontaneous combustion, substances which emit flammable gases when in contact with water. Flammable solids are materials which, under conditions encountered in transport, are readily combustible or may cause or contribute to fire through friction, self-reactive substances which are liable to undergo a strongly exothermic reaction or solid desensitized explosives. Also included are substances which are liable to spontaneous heating under normal transport conditions, or to heating up in contact with air, and are consequently liable to catch fire, and substances which emit flammable gases or become spontaneously flammable when in contact with water. Division 4.1. Flammable solids. Flammable solids are readily combustible solids which may cause fire through friction. These are powdered, granular, or pasty substances, which are dangerous if they can be easily ignited by brief contact with ignition source. The danger may not only come from the fire, but also from toxic combustion products. Metal powders are especially dangerous because of the difficulty of extinguishing a fire, since normal extinguishing agents such as carbon dioxide or water can increase the hazard. Depending upon the burning time in the test, less than or more than 45 seconds, they are assigned to Packing Group 2 or Packing Group 3. Division 4.2. Substances liable to spontaneous combustion, which are liable to spontaneous heating under normal conditions encountered in transport, or to heating up in contact with air, and being then liable to catch fire. Pyrophoric substances and self-heating substances are classified in this category. Pyrophoric liquids and solids must be assigned to Packing Group 1. Class 4. Flammable solids. Continued. Division 4.3. Substances which, in contact with water, emit flammable gases, dangerous when wet. Certain substances in contact with water emit flammable gases, which can form explosive mixtures with air. Such mixtures are easily ignited by all ordinary sources of ignition such as light bulbs, naked lights, and sparking hand tools. Depending upon the type of reaction with water, they are assigned to different packing groups. Reason for regulation. Flammable solids are capable of posing serious hazards due to their volatility, combustibility, and potential in causing or propagating severe conflagrations. Commonly transported flammable solids, spontaneous combustibles, dangerous when wet materials. Alkali metals, metal powders, aluminium phosphide, sodium batteries, sodium cells, firelighters, matches, calcium carbide, camphor, carbon, activated carbon, celluloid, cerium, copra, seed cake, oily cotton waste, desensitized explosives, oily fabrics, oily fibers, ferrocerium, iron oxide, spent, iron sponge/direct reduced iron, spent, metaldehyde, naphthalene, nitrocellulose, phosphorus, sulfur. Class 5, Oxidizing Substances and Organic Peroxides. Division 5.1 Oxidizing Substances. Oxidizing substances are substances which in themselves are not combustible, but may generally cause or contribute to the combustion of other material by yielding oxygen. Division 5.1 Organic Peroxides. Organic peroxides are substances which may be considered derivatives of hydrogen peroxide where one or both hydrogen atoms of the chemical structure have been replaced by organic radicals. Hydrogen peroxide is made up of two hydrogen atoms and two oxygen atoms connected in a chain HOOH. Organic peroxides are thermally unstable substances which may undergo exothermic, self-accelerating decomposition. Reason for regulation. Oxidizers, although not necessarily combustible in themselves, can yield oxygen and in so doing cause or contribute to the combustion of other materials. Organic peroxides are thermally unstable and may exude heat whilst undergoing exothermic autocatalytic decomposition. Additionally, organic peroxides may be liable to explosive decomposition, burn rapidly, be sensitive to impact or friction, react dangerously with other substances, or cause damage to eyes. Commonly transported oxidizers, organic peroxides. Chemical oxygen generators, ammonium nitrate fertilizers, chlorates, nitrates, nitrites, perchlorates, permanganates, persulfates, aluminium nitrate, ammonium dichromate, ammonium nitrate, ammonium persulfate, calcium hypochlorite, calcium nitrate, calcium peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, magnesium peroxide, lead nitrate, lithium hypochlorite, potassium chlorate, potassium nitrate, potassium chlorate, potassium perchlorate, potassium permanganate, sodium nitrate, sodium persulfate. Class 6, Toxic Substances/Infectious Substances. This class is divided into two subdivisions as follows. Division 6.1 Toxic Substances. Toxic substances are those which are liable either to cause death or serious injury or to harm human health if swallowed, inhaled, or by skin contact. To be classified as toxic for purpose of DGR, a substance must meet the minimum criteria for packing group 3 as defined in tables 3.6a and b of IATA DGR. Liquids having a vapor inhalation toxicity of packing group I are forbidden on both passenger and cargo aircrafts. Division 6.2 Infectious Substances. Infectious substances are those which are known or can be reasonably expected to contain pathogens. Dangerous Goods Regulations define pathogens as microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, rickettsia, parasites, and fungi, or other agents which can cause disease in humans or animals. Reason for regulation. Toxic and infectious substances can pose significant risks to human and animal health upon contact. Commonly transported toxic substances, infectious substances. Medical/biomedical waste, clinical waste, biological cultures/samples/specimens, medical cultures/samples/specimens, tear gas substances, motor fuel anti-knock mixture, dyes, carbamate pesticides, alkaloids, allyls, acids, arsenates, arsenites, cyanides, thiols/mercaptans, cresols, barium compounds, arsenic/arsenic compounds, beryllium/beryllium compounds, lead compounds, mercury compounds, nicotine/nicotine compounds, selenium compounds, antimony, ammonium metavanadate, adiponitrile, chloroform, dichloromethane, hexachlorophene, phenol, resorcinol. Class 7, Radioactive Material. Dangerous Goods Regulations define radioactive material as any material containing radionuclides, where both the activity concentration and the total activity exceeds certain predefined values as defined in IATA DGR 10.3.2. A radionuclide is an atom with an unstable nucleus and which consequently is subject to radioactive decay. Exclusions. Radioactive material implanted or incorporated into a person or a live animal for diagnosis or treatment, radioactive material in consumer products which have received regulatory approvals, natural materials, and ores containing naturally occurring radionuclides are not included in Class 7. Subdivisions. There are no subdivisions within Class 7, radioactive material. Reason for regulation. Whilst undergoing radioactive decay, radionuclides emit ionizing radiation, which presents potentially severe risks to human health. Commonly transported radioactive material. Radioactive ores, medical isotopes, yellowcake, density gauges, mixed fission products, surface contaminated objects, cesium radionuclides/isotopes, iridium radionuclides/isotopes, americium radionuclides/isotopes, plutonium radionuclides/isotopes, radium radionuclides/isotopes, thorium radionuclides/isotopes, uranium radionuclides/isotopes, depleted uranium/depleted uranium products, uranium hexafluoride, enriched uranium. Class 8, Corrosives. Corrosives are substances which by chemical action degrade or disintegrate other materials or means of transport upon contact. Subdivisions. There are no subdivisions within Class 8, Corrosives. Reason for regulation. Corrosives cause severe damage when in contact with living tissue or, in the case of leakage, damage or destroy surrounding materials. Commonly transported corrosives. Acids/acid solutions, batteries, battery fluid, fuel cell cartridges, dyes, fire extinguisher charges, formaldehyde, flux, paints, alkylphenols, amines, polyamines, sulfides, polysulfides, chlorides, chlorosilanes, bromine, cyclohexylamine, phenol/carbolic acid, hydrofluoric acid, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, sludge acid, hydrogen fluoride, iodine, morpholine. Class 9, Miscellaneous Dangerous Goods. Miscellaneous dangerous goods are substances and articles which during transport present a danger or hazard not covered by other classes. This class encompasses, but is not limited to, environmentally hazardous substances, substances that are transported at elevated temperatures, miscellaneous articles and substances, genetically modified organisms and microorganisms, and, depending on the method of transport, magnetized materials and aviation-regulated substances. Subdivisions. There are no subdivisions within Class 9, Miscellaneous Dangerous Goods. Reason for regulation. Miscellaneous dangerous goods present a wide array of potential hazards to human health and safety, infrastructure and/or their means of transport. Commonly transported miscellaneous dangerous goods: asbestos, dry ice/card ice/solid carbon dioxide, expandable polymeric beads/polystyrene beads, ammonium nitrate fertilizers, lithium-ion batteries, lithium metal batteries, battery-powered equipment, battery-powered vehicles, fuel cell engines, internal combustion engines, vehicles, magnetized material, dangerous goods and apparatus, dangerous goods and machinery, genetically modified organisms, genetically modified microorganisms, chemical kits, first aid kits, life-saving appliances, air bag modules, seatbelt pretensioners, plastics molding compound, castor bean plant products, polychlorinated biphenyls, polychlorinated terphenyls, dibromodifluoromethane, benzaldehyde.